Hey, what's going on, everybody? Live here, and I'm just going to get sorted because I have to figure out how I can see your comments. So let's see what's going on here, and then we'll get things going in earnest. So forgive the clunkiness to the beginning here. All right, let's see if this works. Oh boy, I don't think it's going to work. So I'm going to try and do it over here. But I wanted to talk a little bit about tortoise nutrition because I was just at a Repticon show and was having a lot of questions about what to feed my tortoise and what the best thing for them is. So I wanted to make sure that I basically did that for you guys. And in order to do this properly, I want to be able to see your comments, which I'm just like a bonehead today. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know where to see it all. So we're having a very non-interactive moment here. Shucks. Let's see. Events. Let's see. Where is everything going, man? Well, I can see that there's 83 of you guys on there, so I'm not talking to myself, but I can't find my comment section. I wish I had my technical advisor online so I can do this. Let's go to live control room. Let's see if that helps. Oh boy. Holy smokes. Public view, super chat, live chat, open in a new window. Hold on. I might have done it. I'm here. What's up? How you going, folks? All right, so thanks for bearing with me. Sorry about, like I said, the clunkiness to it all. I can see you guys right now. So that is a good thing. We're going to minimize this so we can get it all done. I can see everything. Yes, so here's what's going on. We're going to talk about tortoise nutrition today. And basically, it's a big concern of you folks out there, I'm sure. I know it was a big concern of mine when I started up. And the easiest thing I can tell you is we're trying to replicate the tortoise's natural habitat and diet, right? And if you aim for that, you're going to start doing very well for your tortoise and yourself. But so many times there are animals that get purchased on a whim without people doing the proper research, and the animals suffer. And that's what started my passion for the YouTube channel. I figured, man, you know what? There's a lot of ways we can get the information out nowadays. So I'm going to tell you how I do it, the successes I've had. You'll always have failures as well, and that's something that you have to learn from as well. But that's why we're here right now, and we're all hanging out. Let me say hello to some friends out here. Let's see. Have I ever thought about getting a gecko, Jay Waters? I don't know. I've had tokay geckos in the past, but I'm not running out to get geckos because I don't want to deal with crickets and other invertebrates to feed them. Also, guys, just wanted, as a reminder, if you want to help support the channel, you can help us out by purchasing a Kamp Kenan t-shirt. And you can check those out on the campkenan.com website. The store tab is up and running. We have many different colors and sizes to choose from. And if you would like to, you may use the new donate button down there on the chat. If you guys really want to get a question answered, I'm going to try and answer all your questions. But if you really want to make a difference and help us out here at Kamp Kenan to keep the channel going, there's a little icon down there. You can donate whatever you want, but I'm sure to give you a shout out and answer your questions. So thank you very much. Let's see. Boo100, my box turtle is fussy about vegetables. What should I do? Well, good question because we're talking about nutrition, right? So box turtles are omnivores. If we're talking about the Terrapene Carolina, both the western race and the eastern race, whether it's Ornata or Luteola on the west side of things, or if it's the eastern, the three-toed, the Gulf Coast, or Florida, they're all omnivores. So what they're going to do is they're going to eat a little bit of everything. They're going to eat a lot of invertebrates. They're going to eat carrion, which is dead animals. I've seen them chase down lizards, different snakes. They can actually eat small snakes, worms, lots of different things. As far as vegetables, I don't really see them eat too many veggies. They like yellow squash, some carrots, some tomatoes, which is actually a fruit. They'll eat strawberries, they'll eat blueberries, they'll eat raspberries, watermelon, cantaloupe, lots of different vegetables, or fruits rather. As far as veggies, depending on what you're feeding them, I actually don't feed the box turtles too many veggies. They'll even eat the Missouri tortoise diet, as well as some of your freshwater turtle diets as well. So you want to mix those all up, and that's how that works. So today, though, Today, I wanted to talk about the, Jack on 3, my baby turtle shell is soft. Is that normal? We're actually going to get into that. So let me get right to it. Let's get a baby sulcata out, and we'll start talking about it. And let me see if you guys can see this. You guys can probably all see. This is a 2.5-week-old sulcata baby, okay? So you can see that right there. Now, when I gently touch this animal's shell, it's pliable, but it's firm. You can feel kind of a firmness to it. Now, when I hit the rear, it moves, okay? This isn't soft in the way that concerns me because this is a newborn tortoise, right? So they're going to still be a little soft when they're born. And the reason for that is, much like a baby human being, in order for them to come out of the, baby human beings' heads haven't fully fused, the skull hasn't fused, so they can get through the birth canal. And after a few weeks, the skull starts to harden. Similar thing here. These guys were in an egg. They need to be in a certain shape while in the egg, and then as they hatch and grow, they outgrow the egg and they unfold their plastrons, which is the bottom. You can even see the yolk is still here, little remnant of the yolk sac right there being absorbed. But their plastrons straighten out and they become more firm. And if you're feeding them the proper diet, which is going to be, for this species, a lot of different greens, different grasses, different leaves like hibiscus, leaves and flowers, mulberry leaves and flowers, mulberries, every now and again, it's not going to hurt them. You can feed them a small amount of fruit, but the fruit that I like to feed is watermelon or cantaloupe because it is mostly water. It's a great way to hydrate them. But as they grow, their shells will start to firm. But here's the thing that I wanted to show you guys. We got a couple tortoises into the Bush Wildlife Sanctuary last week, and I took them home. And these are kind of special cases. I'm going to see how well they do, and then I'm going to kind of rehome these animals because I never, this is just interesting to me. So let me put this guy back, and we're going to come over here, and I'm going to show you. You notice how this is a sulcata tortoise, and this sulcata tortoise almost has more of a pancake-like appearance. And here's what's really going to horrify you guys, okay? I'm going to gently press on this animal's shell, and I hope you can see, but this is soft shell. I don't know if you can see how pliable that shell is, but this animal here, the plastron, look at this. Look at how much it moves. I'm not hurting him, I'm just gently pressing. But this animal is kind of squashed, and that's from something called metabolic bone disease. This is the beginning of it. They'll live for years with this. The wrong kind of diet, not enough calcium in the diet, not enough fiber in their diet. And he's not pyramiding as much as you would expect. Pyramiding itself, which is the raising of each individual scutes, okay? Pyramiding in itself is not necessarily from metabolic bone disease, but I can tell you, oh boy, all over my carpet, which is okay because it's the animal carpet. But anyway, yeah, I frightened them a little bit, but guys, don't worry, this is all for our education. And he is not going to be harmed in any way. He's just a little nervous because he's up off the ground. So anyway, what we got going on here, though, is a flattening of the shell. And that's always something that occurs with metabolic bone disease, kind of a dipping in. You know tortoises, especially sulcatas, they're going to have more of a domed shell, right? Well, this is kind of actually getting a little concave. And that's because he doesn't have enough strength in his vertebrae to support his shell, so he's starting to dip in. And if this continues over the years, this animal's growth is going to be all sorts of messed up. Now, being that it's young and the animal's still eating, I can get him switched onto another food, and he's got a lot of liquid in him. Now, if this, also side note, if this were in the wild and I picked up a desert tortoise or a sulcata tortoise like this, and it did that, that would be bad because the animal wouldn't have access to water necessarily and would then wind up being dehydrated. So don't worry if he urinates a little bit because there's plenty of water here in Florida for him and he'll be able to replenish those reserves. But anyway, what I'm going to do with this guy, I'm going to keep him around, get him a little bit more firm, get him on the right foods, and we'll talk a little bit about the right foods right now. The right foods for a sulcata tortoise, which is what we're going to focus on today, since that's what I had to show you because those were the rescues that came in this week, is you want to make sure they have a high fiber diet. How do I do that? Well, high fiber is going to be grasses, leaves, flowers, things of that nature. So I mentioned mulberry leaves, I mentioned hibiscus flowers, hibiscus leaves, different grasses like Bermuda grass, Even Timothy grass is fine, Timothy hay. You can get the hay, you can get the leaves, you can make kind of a tortoise salad. Get little scissors, get little scissors and chop it all up and mix it in with your Missouri. Missouri in and of itself is not a bad thing to feed your tortoise. What is really bad is feeding your tortoise only one thing while in captivity, and then not providing them with ultraviolet radiation like UVB-A and UVB-B, which is what these animals need to synthesize the calcium. You can feed them as much calcium as you want, high calcium diet, but if they don't have the proper lighting, these guys are going to be in trouble. So let's see what you guys are saying right now. If there's any questions that we could talk to right now. Let's see. Let's go back and look at some other ones. See if, oh, wow. Joy Williams Gill, thank you so much, man, for hooking us up with a little donation. I appreciate that. Feel free to ask a question if you want. Oh, my God, he is still going. This guy is going and going and going. My goodness. I'm going to put him down. Maybe that'll make him relax a little bit. Thank you, Joy Williams Gill. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that donation to helping us keep it going here. Let's see. Can you buy some? I'm trying to find a really good question. And we're focusing our questions today on diet of some of your grassland species. So I just think that's pretty important. Akashi Panjarkar. Okay, sir, please talk about the Indian star tortoise. Well, here's what I'm going to say about the Indian star tortoise. They have almost the identical diet to your sulcata tortoise. So they're your grassland species. They like it a bit drier. They want a higher fiber diet. And when I feed them any kind of fruit, it's going to be watermelon or something with a very high water content to help them get moisture from their food. All right. What do you give sulcatas in wintertime? Water every day or water in the food enough? My one big one got 2 kilograms lighter, and I fed him 3 times a week, but was reserved with water. Was this my mistake? That's Bolim04. Great question. All right, so in the winter here in Florida, it's drier most of the time. I always provide, summer or winter, my sulcata tortoises with a watering hole, someplace they can go and get water and make sure that they're hydrated. I also will feed them the cantaloupe or watermelon just to make sure they're getting that water from their food. So that's a double way of making sure that they are properly hydrated. Let me tell you something. So many people make the mistake of not providing water for their desert-loving or their desert species because they think, well, it lives in the desert, there's no water. Well, I can tell you this. An animal that lives in the desert, life is dependent upon how well it can find and store water. So water is the most important thing in the desert for a desert-loving animal. It's just how they get water, okay? So here in Florida, we have a lot of it. I provide them with a place to drink. Do they always drink? No. But we get enough rain, water collects. I see them dunk their whole heads under and drink for minutes at a time to replenish. If they don't do that, they can really fry out their kidneys from the uric acid buildups. If it does not, if their uric acid, which is a solid, they crystallize it and turn it into a solid. If it doesn't have enough water, it's difficult for them to get it out of their kidneys. And it becomes, it solidifies in their kidneys and they have what's called renal failure. And it's a very slow, painful death. And when you do an x-ray, you can actually see the crystals of salt that have been stuck in that animal. So it's very important to keep your desert species of tortoises hydrated. So I hope that answered your question, mate. I feed them and give them water as much as I can. Just because we also don't know exactly what they're drinking or doing or eating in the wild perfectly, right? So it's always better to err on the side of caution by giving them the access to water rather than denying them that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Daniel Hallisey says, my tortoise will only eat greens and not commercial diets. I want to feed him, but both, but he won't take it. What do I do? The simplest thing I can say to you, if he's eating his greens, but he's not eating his diet, moisten the diet, mix it in with the greens, and also mix it in, and depending on the tortoise, if you do this only once in a while, it's not going to hurt them, but mix it in with something sweet like strawberry or brightly colored, like take shredded yellow squash, mix that all together as best you can. Sometimes you can take a food processor, moisten the diet, take the other stuff, and go ahead and like put it all together and puree it, and then kind of put it out there, and they'll start getting the taste for everything. Then little by little, remove the item that the animal may be addicted to or focusing entirely on, and then you'll have given them the taste for all the other foods. It's a little time consuming, but when you're dealing with tortoises, you have nothing but time. They live a long time if you're doing the right thing. So be patient and do that. Pets Rule asks, how do you get rid of tortoise pyramiding? You can't. Simplest answer. New growth can be corrected to where the pyramiding will look less severe over time. But the reality is once it's happened, it's happened. And I don't want you guys to freak out. I've said this in other videos about pyramiding. Pyramiding in captive tortoises, it's not necessarily from metabolic bone disease. If the animal still has a nice dome and it's just got little raised scutes, it could be from humidity, not enough. It could also be from being fed too often, too quickly. They grow quicker. There's many different causes for it. Some people, really new keepers, freak out over it, as long as it's not grotesque. And I'm going to move to my next tortoise. As long as it's not grotesque and the animal's mobility isn't impaired and the shell's firm and everything's looking good, then I don't worry so much about normal pyramiding. Now, here's another tortoise that we got in. It's a cherry head tortoise. It's got some slight pyramiding. This does not freak me out at all, but you can see it. It's a little bit raised. There are some people that worry about this, but the tortoise it's got a firm shell for this age, and it looks good. So this little cherry head's doing good, and this is what I would call acceptable pyramiding, and even a little bit more than that. I don't freak out about it, but what I do freak out about is the next tortoise I'm going to show you. And it's amazing this tortoise has even grown this much, but you're going to freak out. This tortoise is 7 years old and should be way bigger than it is. Okay, but it is not, and it's because it was not being fed the right foods. It was kept indoors. But look at this. This is a sulcata, and this type of pyramiding is really, in my opinion, aggressive. And you notice what I tell you about that dip. Their shells are not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be nice and a nice convex shell. But this animal's starting to get that dip that the little guy had earlier in the video. Can you see that? And when that happens, also their mobility is affected. This tortoise walks strange because all the bones, remember the tortoise's backbone is fused to the shell. It's actually the shell of just the rib cage. It's the rib cage of the tortoise connecting with the chest or the sternum of the tortoise, which creates the plastron. So basically, if the structure isn't sound, everything radiates out from your spine, right? So his limbs aren't in the right position. His back legs are swayed. This tortoise doesn't walk so well, I mean, he walks fine, but he could be doing a whole lot better. If we get up close, you can really see just the severity of this pyramiding and the dip in the back. And here's another freakish thing. Look, we can push in. I can push in on this tortoise. A tortoise of this age should be solid as a rock, no worries. But you know what? I can push. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but I'm getting a lot of give in this tortoise, so that's no good. So I was really concerned about that. But I'm going to put him outside. I'm going to get this guy firmed up, and then I'm going to rehome him to a nice person, somebody that wants him. It's actually a female. It's a little gal, and we want to get her in a good situation because you want to get her nice and strong so she can live out the rest of her long life. And this will have only just been, cosmetically, she will look just different than other tortoises, but once we get her all firmed up, the new growth will be healthy, her bones will get healthy, and she'll just do her thing, eating grass. She's a pretty girl, I think. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, man, that's kind of what's going on. I'm going to keep her right here, but you guys let me know if she starts walking too far. I don't want her to fall off this thing. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? How do you get rid of tortoise pyramiding? Is there more questions? Oh, yes, here they go. Where is a good place to get prickly pear cactus? I would like to start growing my own. This is from Jake. Well, Jake, sometimes I send it out with baby tortoise when you order a tortoise from me, and I'll send it out. You can grow it that way. But what I would suggest is to go to a Latin or Spanish supermarket. They have a lot of different, vegetables, things that you don't see in some of the other supermarkets. So I would go there and ask for nopales. Nopales is kind of what they call the spineless prickly pear. It's in the Opuntia genus. Everyone asks me what the species is. Everyone just calls it nopales. If you can speak to someone from Mexico or Central America, they know what it is. And again, try those supermarkets out. I know when I used to live in Las Vegas, there's a large Mexican population there, and even in the I guess mainstream supermarkets, you could buy the cactus pads that people actually eat them. It's actually good for your stomach. So I would recommend trying that out. That would be my first place to go, as a Spanish speaking supermarket. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Oh boy. Can you give, this is Carla Newhouse, can you give Cuttlebone to a tortoise? You coming over? Yes, actually you can. It's a great way to get calcium in them. In fact, tortoises will sometimes gnaw on dead animal bones. They'll actually be in the wild, they'll come across some dead animal bones, and they'll gnaw on it. It does two things. They'll get some calcium from it, and they'll also wear down their beak. So it's very good. Another way to get calcium in them is the prepared calcium diets, from Zoom Ed. You might want to check those out. And I only sprinkle them on maybe for my babies that are growing. You can do it once or twice a week. The adults, they get it less often. They probably get it once a month. I buy a big thing of it and I sprinkle it out, mostly during egg laying season, because the females are going to be really working hard to produce those eggs, and they need the shell, so a lot of their calcium goes to the baby's eggshells. So you want to make sure that the females are bumped up while they're ovulating and creating eggs. So that's important also. Saying hello to Ole Astro from the Netherlands. Dashi, what about the leopard tortoise? Is asking me what about the leopard tortoise. Leopard tortoise, same exact diet as your good old sulcatas. So I'll name off some tortoises that have a similar diet. Your Russian tortoises are gonna eat just like the sulcata, Indian stars, all your Mediterranean tortoises, Egyptian tortoises, Greek tortoises, marginateds, hermans. All those tortoises are more high fiber grassland species. We also got your plowshares and radiateds and bowsprits, and all those tortoises are more grassland animals, so you can feed them all the things. And of course, the leopard tortoise as well. Oh man, True Donald lives in Belfast, Ireland there. So what can I grow? It's always raining. Dude, I don't know. What can you grow? Probably plants that like rain. If you could keep them, if you're gonna grow them outdoors, gosh, I don't know, dude. You're gonna have to talk to a botanist. Wish I could help you, True Donald. Let's see. What else we got? But top of the morning to you anyway, man. What are your thoughts on hot humid enclosures for cicadas to decrease pyramid? I don't know much about cicadas, although they come out every 7 years or so. But, I don't provide hot humid enclosures that are 100% that way. You want to create microclimates. So if a sulcata tortoise is from a dry, arid area that experiences rainfall seasonally, that's one thing. That's why outdoors in Florida is good. But if I'm raising indoors, I'm going to have a humid hiding area. I'll mist the animal down once a day, but then I'll allow it to dry and that humidity to dissipate. I've seen some stuff online where there's people that just keep their tortoises, like their desert tortoises, wet because they're so afraid of pyramid. That's just not how those tortoises live. So I don't know. I don't know what the long-term effects are, but I would assume that those animals will develop respiratory problems down the road. Just so you have a perfectly smooth shell, it doesn't make sense to me. But I am not the end-all, be-all. If it works for you and they're healthy and eating and reproducing, there you go. Where can I buy a hat like yours? Gus Fish. Well, this particular hat is from Australia, so you got to know the Critter Cam guys. Good old Colin Schumark sends these to me. If you haven't checked out their YouTube channel, check it out. My friends over there at Critter Cam. They send them to me, but you can order them from davidmorgan.com. They are an Akubra distributor in the United States. There's many different Akubra hats to go ahead and buy. There you go. This one here is the Golden Spur. All right, but I like this hat. Let's see. What do you get when you cross a tortoise and a porcupine? Cole Stitt. I don't know. Why don't you tell us the answer, man? Oh, wait. A slowpoke. Cole. Very good. Everybody. Can you hear all the claps? Good stuff, dude. I like humor, man. Is the food expensive? Nature TV, Julian. You know, someone was just visiting today, and they said you must spend a fortune to feed all these tortoises. In fact, that's not the case. I spent a fortune on the house, and the house has a lot of land and it has a lot of grass. And as we were discussing here in this video, tortoises like those eat grass. That's about 70% of their diet. I supplement it twice a week. But again, guys, I have these animals outdoors. It's made my life so much easier. It's made their lives easier. So in fact, you know, it doesn't cost me a lot to take, you know, to feed the amount of tortoises that I do. Not even maybe 200 a month. And that's hardly anything with the amount of animals that I keep here. Let's see. Robert Butler, do you give Cuttlebone to young or newborn sulcata? If they will nibble on it, can't hurt them. Can't hurt them at all, so go for it. Let's see. Hold on. I just somehow moved. I saw something I wanted to read. Oh, Oliver Cooper, man. Thank you so much, Oliver. What is the outlook for that baby sulcata? Okay, you're talking about this guy. The outlook's pretty good. We got it young, okay? The animal's still eating. That's important because eventually they get so sick and they stop to eat. So the outcome's not bad. I can get this guy firmed up and we get him on the right diet, get it outdoors, get it grazing. Should live a long, healthy life because we got it early on. Any longer, and this divot would start to get as bad. You see, this is the beginning. Look at this divot. This is what happens, guys. They grow, and it turns into that, okay? And if they keep going, it gets even worse, and that's just horrible. The animal is actually suffering, and they can't tell you. So you want to make sure you do the right thing. But yes, the outlook's good. Thank you so much for your question and for your donation, man. I appreciate that. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Oh, you missed the beginning, Pelinair. Missed the beginning. Well, you'll just have to watch the replay, I suppose. Let's see. How many torts have you had die from being flipped over too long? That's kind of a cool question because it does happen. I had a really sad story a couple of years ago. I put a heat bulb. It was a very cold night, and I put a high wattage red heat lamp. And it was too hot for the box. I screwed up. And one of the tortoises, out of all things, it turned itself over somehow and was underneath that heat bulb and died. That was the worst. So horrible. When is the wet season in Africa? Well, I believe it's the winter in where the sulcatas are from, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't live there. But I know, I put my hand in the, whatever. Anyway, I'm stepping in pee with my hand. Let's see. All right. Brody Savola, how much are your sulcata tortoise babies? They are $90 plus shipping. Shipping on the east side of the country from the Mississippi River, east of Mississippi is $55. And on the west side of the Mississippi, $65. You can email me at kampkenan@gmail.com, and I'll tell you the rest on how to order a baby tortoise. But that's it, guys. I mean, I'm going to take a few more questions here, and then I got to get going. We've been on for about a half an hour. Boo 100, should I dechlorinate my tortoise's water? If there's a lot of chlorine in it, if you can dechlorinate it, go for it. I'm on well water, so it doesn't matter for me. Is grapevine leaf okay to feed your sulcata? Yes, it is perfectly fine to feed sulcata. You want to avoid spinach and kale. They're high in oxalic acid, and oxalic acid keeps the calcium from binding to the bones. So you want to avoid those, any foods high in oxalic acid. If I'm saying that correctly, I believe it's called oxalic acid. So you want to check that out. All right, man. Special diet for Indian star tortoise for summer. Just watermelon. Watermelon will do it. Watermelon or cantaloupe. That's the only fruit you need to feed them. All right. Best proteins for torts. That's always going to be the proteins that are found in the grasses. Young grass has more protein in it. So as it's growing, if tortoises nibble on the young grass, they're getting more protein. As it gets older, it absorbs more of the calcium from the soil. So I would recommend just feeding them that. You know, alpha hay has a lot of protein in it, but it is plant-based protein, so it's not that bad. Again, guys, vary the diet, okay? Never feed your tortoise one thing all the time. That's the biggest problem with most keepers. They get very lazy and they just feed one thing all the time, and so that's the problem. Let's see, what's this? My sulcata will not poop. Is a coffee enema a viable option? Chris M. Well, Chris, funny you say that. You're probably making a joke. I don't know. I never do coffee enemas. Personally, I've never had an enema. Everything works very well in my alimentary canal. But I have given enemas to tortoises before with a gardening hose. And let me tell you, quite a treat. Maybe one day we'll do a video of it, if necessary. But yeah, you know, I have given enemas, you know, to help blocked up animals. Another thing to help them pass some constipation is papaya. It's a natural tenderizer, and so when they eat it, it helps them pass it. And it also has a lot of liquid in it, so it helps go through. But it's not something I feed all the time. It's just a natural remedy to try before you look into other, you know, medical options from your veterinarian. All right. All right, my friends, very cool. Listen, Chris M., don't try the enema. Take it to a vet. I was doing the enema under the guidance of a vet. So don't just stick something up your tortoise's rear end and expect it to magically happen. Can I feed sulcatas my clovers from the backyard? As long as it's not chemically treated. If you know that for sure, it shouldn't hurt at all. How many times do you feed a tortoise in a week? That's Dashy. Dashy, my tortoises live outdoors where there's a lot of graze, so I feed them 2 to 3 times a week. The tortoises that live indoors will eat once every other day. And I recommend a little bit every day for your tortoise, and feed them as much food as they are big and allow them to consume that. All right? Thanks, Chris. I'm glad you're not going to stick something up your tortoise's butt. And so is your tortoise. The tortoise thanks me too. Joy, no, you cannot sex a baby sulcata without a special tool called an endoscope. And it costs about $8,000 to purchase one. And it's a tiny little camera that goes up the hiney, and they can kind of see whether it's a male or a female. But I can't visually tell. Anyone that says they can visually tell is either crazy or lying to you. So when you're buying a baby sulcata, it's a crapshoot. Could be a boy, could be a girl. Taraboni, hey, I think you just picked up one of the tortoises, man. Can you explain how nutrition and humidity connect with watery eyes? I've read it's important, but the article didn't say how. Well, all I can say, Tara, to answer your question the best that I can, is that watery eyes, as long as they're not viscous, if there's a lot of viscous fluid coming out of the eyes, that's bad, right? But you want to keep an area that's humid for the animal, because most tortoises are going to find those microclimates to burrow down, and it just feels better. It's like us seeking out shade, or taking a mud bath or something like that. There's little benefits for your skin. There's benefits for their respiratory system. I can only speak. I've never heard about watery eyes and nutrition being connected unless you have an animal that has a problem with vitamin A. It's not getting enough vitamin A. What will happen is vitamin A deficiency starts to show in the eyes. Their eyes get swollen and they don't open them. And then you'll see a pussy liquid come out of their eyes. If the tortoise's liquid, again, is clear, it's just the fact that the tortoise is cleaning its eyes out. It's tearing like ours, and so it's just cleaning them out. As long as it's not viscous or pussy and swollen eyelids, that's usually a sign of a vitamin A deficiency. To help out with vitamin A, I would recommend shredding up carrots and shredding up yellow squash. Any of your vegetables that are high in color are going to be high in beta-carotene, and that's going to help with vitamin A. You can also try some baby food carrots if the animal's not eating. I've done that in a syringe, and I've been able to get some food, tube feeding them. But again, now you're getting into a more advanced state of husbandry that you should really have a veterinarian help you with until you're comfortable doing on your own, because you can easily hurt the tortoise's jaw by trying to force feed it. Now, as far as the humidity, it's important in how I said the microclimates. You're searching for creating a situation where the tortoise is comfortable. There's an ambient humidity that's going to be around 65, 70%. If you can achieve that by misting, by putting sphagnum moss in the enclosure in an area that the animal can burrow under, then that's good. And that helps with the eyes, because sometimes newborn tortoises, if they dry out, it's hard for them to open their eyes. So I always give them frequent soaks and so on and things like that. And thank you so much for your donation. And thank you so much for, I'm pretty sure I sent you a tortoise this week. So thank you so much for ordering for me, and I appreciate it. I hope the little one's doing good. 2 to 3 times a week, give it a soak. Lots of different foods. That tortoise should be doing good for you. Very cool. All right, everybody. I think we are done, man. All right, I'm going to answer one more question. Owen's Life, please help. This is to save my tortoise. Can you help me? My Redwood tortoise's RI is a pain to get rid of and keeps coming back. What do I do? Take it to a vet. A respiratory infection that keeps coming back could be, okay, don't freak out, could be something called mycoplasma. Mycoplasm is a phenomenon. It's a parasite. It's a bacteria, I believe. No. Gosh, I don't know if it's a bacteria or a virus. I have to brush up. Doesn't matter. It's a pathogen that tortoises get in the wild. And we're starting to see it more and more in captive collections because so many people are getting wild caught animals and then they bring them into their homes and then they spread throughout their collection. Now, mycoplasm doesn't necessarily mean that it's a death sentence for the tortoise. What it is a chronic disease that shows up when the animal gets stressed. Stresses can include handling too much, moving the animal, rearranging its environment, not proper environment, a lot of different things. And it manifests itself by a discharge from their nose, their nares. So mycoplasm could be the culprit, but you have to get a cotton swab and get a sample to your vet and have it sent out to a lab to test. And then in order to treat that, there are some drops you put in the nose, but you can never get it away, get rid of it completely because it is in fact chronic. All right, everybody. I guess that's it. I'm going to sign off. It's been a long talk today, almost 40 minutes, man. But I hope you guys learned something. I'll be back on live next week. I'll have a bonus video Sunday. And there's some big things happening with Kamp Kenan. I also want to say, if you guys are going to be in Florida June 24th, I hope to see you at Croc Fest, the Bush Wildlife Sanctuary, where we'll be raising money and having a barbecue and auction for the Cuban crocodile and research for the Cuban crocodile. So I'm excited to be a part of that. I'll be the master of ceremonies, and I hope that some of you will be at the Bush Wildlife Sanctuary June 24th for that really fun event. I'm Kenan. I'm signing off. It's a rainy day. I guess that's it. Good seeing you, everybody. We'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you so much. Dragon Squad Reptiles, shouting you out, dude. Awesome, man. Shout out to Abdul Fazal. What's my favorite animal? Really? Let's see, Steve Town. I'll give you one guess. Thanks, everybody, so much, man. We'll see you guys soon. Later on. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.